Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tuesday Talks with Titus. I'm so excited to get back into things, just getting back into the flow of making episodes. Things have just been a little crazy, and I thank you guys for just waiting on just a new episode to come out. But this episode is worth waiting for. I'm very excited to jump into it because today we're talking about the Trump assassination attempt. Do not worry, I am staying away from politics still yet. There's just something else to cover within that. That and more, plus an odd Coke trend, which you're gonna want to stick around and see and hear about at the end. Okay, so first I just want to jump straight into it. So something you may or may not have seen, I definitely have on my feed, are some posts that state something like, "If you love the devil and hate God, keep scrolling." With a burning passion, I really dislike those videos because that type of thing just it makes no sense because scrolling past a video that may or may not be biblical does not determine your love for Christ. Get that. That's important within the rest of this episode. But also based off of Romans 8:39, God's love for us endures forever. But what determines our love for Christ? Well, looking at 1 John 1, we see that when we walk in darkness, our fellowship with Christ will be less and less. But when we walk in the light, our fellowship with Christ will be greater. So I don't know about y'all, but for me, if I'm out of fellowship with somebody, if I haven't talked to somebody for a couple of weeks or even just a couple of days, I feel out of fellowship. I need to catch up with them. And so that's the same with our fellowship with Christ. We need to have a good prayer life. We need to have a good devotional life. This verse speaks to me. I'm hoping it's speaking to you as well, but there's always something that can drag us further and further away from God. And there's always something in our life that we need to put aside to fully follow Christ. I know there's been moments in my life where sin has just made me feel far from God. And one of the things that I saw in a video one time, they were explaining that the difference between walking in darkness and walking in light is that when you're walking in darkness, God's not far from you. He's still with you. The Holy Spirit is still inside of you. He's still with you. You are trying to escape him when you're walking in darkness. I know I've had moments in my life where even doing my devotionals and memorizing scripture, I still felt far from God. And there's just always something. There is always something. So God does not want us to live in sin. That's why one day we will not have to put up with sin any longer. That's why one day sin will be abolished. Sin was not supposed to be the entirety of the world, but now it is. We messed up. So we do deal with sin and the temptation to sin. Another thing to understand is that when we sin, as Christians, when we sin, it's just like going back into a jail cell that's unlocked. That's one of the analogies I started thinking about. Like you're in a jail cell, it's torture, you hate being there, but something makes you want to stay there. As Christians, we have an unlocked jail cell. We can walk out. And so can non Christians. Don't get me wrong. Non Christians can seek salvation and get that way out of that jail cell. So 1 John 4 gets straight to the point and tells us that if we can't love another, our love for Christ is also failing. So this is another important part of showing love to Christ. Now, based off of something I learned at the summit, the purpose of life is to know God and to mirror him to others. So when others see us, they see God. The passage takes it a step deeper and tells us that we can get a clearer picture of who God is in the way that we show love to others and others show love to us. That's how we see more of who God is, by the way others love us and the way we love others. It's important since Christians are often criticized for claiming they have this love of Christ but don't show it, or they're not showing it in the way that some people expect. It's important that I mention that love does not, I know I've talked about this on my podcast before, but love is not shutting up about what the scriptures say. It's not. It's not just saying, "Oh, you can live in sin. That's fine. That I'm loving you by telling you that's good," or shutting up and just not saying anything. That's not what we're called to do. I mean, showing love to others is telling them the truth. And yeah, the truth can hurt, but also, to be clear, don't be a jerk about telling them the truth. Make sure when you're telling the truth, it is truth that is spoken love. As my dad says, speak the truth, but don't be a jerk. Yeah, so the bottom line is there's many ways to show love to God, but scrolling past a reel or a video that may or may not have some truth to it does not define your love for God. Listen, I love that a lot of you watch my podcast, and I love that some of you watch my reels. I love that. But if you think that's determining your love for Christ, it's not. You can scroll past my videos, but it won't hurt your love for Christ. And so, moving on to the assassination attempt, I want to first say that I'm not going to get political. Just bear with me. But I felt like it was important for me to talk about this since it did happen in my state. Hey guys, I wanted to just add on to that because when I recorded the episode, the second assassination attempt did not happen, but there was a second assassination attempt in Florida. Obviously, as far as I know, he is completely fine and no one was killed or injured in that event. But I just wanted to make sure I kept you informed on that part as well as the other assassination attempt because that happened actually days after I started recording this episode. So with that, let's jump back in. An hour away from where I live, I felt like it's important that I talk about it. And yeah, I know it was a little bit ago, but there's still some stuff to be said about it that hasn't been said. As many of you know, a couple months ago, former President Donald Trump was holding a rally in Butler, PA. As he began his speech, shots were fired, wounding several and killing one member of the crowd, and the perpetrator was also killed. So I'm not here to talk about anything except how both sides get that. Both sides of the political spectrum handled this. Both right and left wing people started saying hateful things that I cannot, nor do I, want to say on this podcast. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans are fully responsible for the hateful words that were said. And I'm not saying that liberals were responsible for that. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is that both sides had some very hateful things to say. And I'm hoping that those hateful things did not come from us Christians, because we know that should not happen. Politics have created an unimaginable divide with American people. It's honestly quite sad. I mean, we see it in some debates. You used to see the opponents shake hands, say hello, but now they can't look each other in the eye. I am not blaming one politician or the other politician for this, or one side or the other side. Again, I want to state this is a both side problem, a two-sided problem. I am here to tell you that we as Christ followers cannot let that happen. We need to fight against that because we are the ones that's supposed to solve the problem and show love in politics as well as everywhere else. So I feel like some Christians can forget that. Politics is another place to show love, not a place to forget about the love that we as Christians are supposed to show. If you disagree with someone, that's fine, but don't let it affect your love for them as people. So next, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 5 says, love is patient and love is kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable. It keeps no record of being wrong. That is something to mimic. We need to read what 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 5 says. Read that and remember that's how we're supposed to show love. Our love should come across patient, kind, not jealous, not boastful, not proud, not rude. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable. It keeps no record of being wronged. We have to pay attention to how we are showing our love in politics as well as everywhere else. I'm emphasizing politics because I know it's failing. Me as a teen, I'm not involved in politics that much, but I do pay attention. And yeah, it can be a problem to try to show love to people you may disagree with greatly. It's hard, but you have to because we as Christians are called to. The one part of the things I want to highlight is it's not proud or rude. That's something that we see a lot in politics, rude and proud. So, are you showing this love that's described when you're talking to someone you disagree with? And now, this is broad. This right here is broad. It is, I'm talking about everywhere. Are you showing the love? And am I showing the love that First Corinthians 13 4 through 5 says? Do you want to end the divisiveness in this world? If you are a Christian, your answer right now should be yes. So it starts with you and me in our daily interactions with others. Let's all work on loving in politics as well as everywhere else. Work on it together. We as Christians need to show that light. So, as we wrap up, I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit about a fun thing that I tried. Um, and as some of you know, I work at a Dairy Queen. This is something I got the chance to try because I work there. We had this marshmallow stuff I could use. Yeah, basically, what you're supposed to do with this trend that's from TikTok or something like that, he's just, you're supposed to put marshmallow fluff or marshmallow sauce is what I had to use because that's what I had, in a cup, add Coke, then stir and taste. It was okay. That's a bad thing. I don't understand what to think about it because it was not bad. It tasted decent. And I'm still trying to figure out how that happens. How does something like that happen? To sum up the first topic, when you're scrolling past a video that may or may not be biblical, it's not going to affect your love for Christ. And again, I want to reiterate this so many times that it's not even funny. Politics is a place to show love as well as everywhere else. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on today's Tuesday Talks with Titus. I am really excited for some upcoming things. Pay close attention because there is something coming up that I don't want you to miss. So if you have not already, please subscribe, like, comment, and also follow all of my pages because I tend to post more on one or the other. So you will see different posts on different platforms. Also, I did want to mention that according to my statistics that I've been looking at, 30% of you who view my videos are not currently subscribed. So if you would do me the favor and if you're enjoying my videos and want to hear more about this stuff, please click on that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You know, I only post once a month, so it'll be a once a month notification that I posted. So go ahead and do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your patience with this video coming out, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much again. Goodbye.